Hello, everyone. We are going to talk about the project create from template functionality that is now in 15.9.2. So what's new? Starting 15.9.2, we are introducing the ability to define the create screen when creating a project from template in the modern UX. Ability to force populating required fields when creating a project from template is now available. Why is this important? Customers that create new projects in the modern UX using the templates have raised several issues. To name a few, the first one is that when you create a project from template in the modern UX, in the past, the dates for the new project would have been exactly the same as your template, which could have been months or years in the past when the template was created. So that was one problem. The second problem was there was no way to force the user to populate required fields. I mean, this resulted in the project being created with empty required fields, which is for certain customers a data issue. The other problem was when converting an idea to a project, again, the new project is created based on the template dates, and which is again a problem when it should have been based on the idea dates. So to address these as well as other problems, we have now introduced the create from template model, which will be available in the modern UX. So first, let's look at the create from template. In the project blueprint, now you will see a new tab available, which would be called Create from Template. So this is something that's going to be available in the blueprints of the project object. You will see it in the standard blueprint, which would be with just the three standard fields that the customers see today when creating a project. However, when you make a copy of this blueprint, you can edit this create from template model. Every project blueprint will have the ability to define which fields are displayed to the user when they create a project using that blueprint. Blueprints can be defaulted in the project template, which means when the user selects the template they want to use, the project template they want to use when creating, whichever blueprint was defined in that template, the create screen from that template would be then displayed to the end user to populate the fields. The create from template, let's look at the administration side of it. When you click on the create from template within the blueprint, in order for you to edit it, you have to first have the blueprint in the edit mode. Upon being on an edit mode, on the left side, you will see the list of all the fields that are there for that project, and you can drag and drop them to have this in the new project creation area. We will support all fields except the blueprint field, rich text format, attachment, and TSV. Those four fields cannot be included in this create from template model. And if there are any required fields, you will have an asterisk next to them. So it's very visible which all fields are required. The asterisk will be displayed whether it's in the available section, like right here, or if it's right here in the added section. The end user experience for create from template is as follows. The end user, going from left to right, within the project, when they click on the new project button, which would be either in the tiles page or in the list page, clicking on the new project button will open up the list of templates that are available to them to select from. The user can select any one of those templates, and once done so, based on the blueprint that is assigned to the project template, the end user will then see the create from project template modal. And in this example, I'm seeing my custom fields that have been defined in here that are now available to the end user to populate the data, and once done so, they can click on the create button to create the project. The required fields. The new project model will display the required fields as defined in the create from template in the blueprint. If there are any studio defined required fields that is not included in your create from template, then those will automatically be added to the create model. So for example, if you remember in the default one, we only display the name, start date, and finish date. If you have another attribute in your project called strategy and you've set that attribute to be required, then that field will automatically be added to my create from template screen, whether I have it included in my create from template, whether I added it or not, it'll automatically be included. And we'll see that example as we get into the demo. If you've added a required field, the required field or any other field, the values for those fields will be populated in the create from template as follows. The value is first taken from the project template itself. If the project template does not have a value, then we go look for the value in the studio definition. And if the studio definition does not have a value, then the user is displayed with just a null value. And if it is a required field, they will be asked to populate before they can click on the create button. We also handle this in the conversion of an idea to project, and the end user flow would be as follows, going from left to right. In my list of ideas, for the ideas that are approved, I can right mouse click and then select convert to project. After selecting that, I'll get my list of templates. And once I've selected that template, then based on the blueprint that is assigned to the list of templates, I will get the list of fields that the user has to populate. In addition, they will also see 3 new checkboxes. The first one is to copy the theme from the idea to the project. The next is the copying of the financials, and the last is the ability to copy risk issues and changes from the idea to the project. All right, with that, let's get into the demo part. Let's look at this functionality in action. So here I am in my 1592 environment, and the first thing I'm going to do is go into my administration side, which is in the studio, and I'm going to look at the object definition for my project object, because in this case, I'm going to use the project object required fields and see how that'll appear in the create from template. So let's go into my administration. I'm going to go into my objects and let's filter for just the project object. And I'm going to look for 4 specific fields. 2 of those fields are defined in my project object and 2 are defined in the investment. So the first is just strategy, which is defined in my project object, and this field is set as required in my project object. The other one is going to be the objective and key results is the same thing. It is required in my project object. The next is the corporate priority. This is defined in the investment object, and it is set as required also. And the last is going to be the business unit priority. So just 4 fields. And there it is, a required field. So I have 4 required fields, 2 from the project, 2 from the investment. All right, so now let's go and look at my project blueprint. So I'm going to go into my administration site in the Modern UX. I'm going to go to blueprints, and let's look at the blueprints for project. I'm going to go look at my the blueprint that I've created and set as default. So when I go into this blueprint, you will notice there is the create from template. I can go in there and you can see the layout for the create from template is defined based on different fields. In order for me to edit this, I have to edit my blueprint. So I can just click on the edit button, and once doing so, additional fields are available. I can easily drag and drop fields that I want. So I can just drag and drop it right here. I can adjust it. I can make it longer. So I have all that functionality, just like the properties definition that I would do. Or I can just remove the field if I don't want it. In this example, also notice that I have the project name, start and finish, which is the default 3 values. I've added the 2 project required fields as right here. I've added description, sponsor, and finance and governor. I have not added the 2 required fields from investment, which is the corporate priority and the business unit priority. So essentially, I've added 2 required fields here and not added the other 2, so they're out of the 4. So for now, let's just discard this because I've really not made any change. Once I've done so, the next I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my templates. So let's look at the list of my templates that I have. So for my templates, I've pre-populated some values for some templates and not for all. So for example, my major project template, again, my 4 required fields for my major project, I've not populated any of the values. For my application COTS template, I've not populated 3, but I've only populated 1 value. And for the other ones, I've populated 2 required fields, but not the strategy for any of these. Okay, so now let's see what will be the end user experience when I create a project from template using the major project template first. So by clicking on the new from template, the first experience is to get a list of all the projects, and I am going to pick new project, major project template. You can see the create project modal appears, the fields, which is the name, the start and finish date, the strategy, and the objective and key results, the OKR. Those were the next 2 fields which are required are populated with nothing there. Description, sponsor. And then at the bottom, you would see the 2 additional fields that I had set as required have automatically been added to my screen. The fields have been added alphabetically, left to right, to my screen. Because this major project did not have any value in the template or in the studio, they are all blank, and I will have to populate them before I can even click on, before I can create my projects. If I was to just click on create right now without populating, it'll force me to fill out all the fields. Let's continue looking at the next one, which is I have some of my required fields pre-populated, and in that case, I'm going to pick the infrastructure deployment. In this case, some of my required fields are pre-populated. When I do that, I see the same modal pop up, and in this case, the 2 required fields that were added at the bottom, the values have been taken from the template. So these two fields, the value from the template, are taken and then displayed on this screen. I still have to populate the other values before I can create the project, but you can see how the default values get populated. And the last one is I'm going to pick a template which does not have my um, default blueprint assigned. It is using the standard blueprint. The standard blueprint out of the box only had name, start, and finish date in the create screen, which means all those additional 4 required fields and other fields that I populated are not in there. So let's pick the deployment. This is using the standard. So in this case, notice the 3 default fields are added on top in the same layout as how it is in the create, but my 4 additional fields are then added alphabetically at the bottom, and the 2 values that were populated in the template are populated right here. So I'm just going to cancel this, and next let's look at the ideas or converting an idea. So I have an idea, cloud computing enhancement, and to this idea I have populated the default values, or in this case, I populated the idea values, but I've also created some risk issues and changes. So I have a risk, which is my SaaS compliance timeline can slip. The issue is that I have no contractors available, and the change I need to do is to get resources from other BUs. So I have risk issues and changes. I'm going to now go ahead and convert this. I am going to pick the major project template, and you notice that it took the idea name, the dates from the idea, the strategy, and OKR is not populated, so I can go ahead and pick innovation at scale. Let's do that. The rest of the values are already there, and I have the option to copy the team, financials, and risk issues and changes. I'm going to leave all those 3 checked, and I'm going to click on create. Because everything was populated, all the required fields are populated, I can click on the create and the project gets created. Once the project creation is done, the screen will open up within the project itself. And my name, my dates are all taken from the ideas, along with the risk issues and changes. If I go into the risk, because I had selected the option to copy the risk issues changes, I can see the risk of SaaS compliance getting slipped. I have issue of no contractors available, and my changes is that I need to use resources from other BU. That concludes my demo for the create from template.